Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation. Today I will be talking about my country, Egypt, and the title is Egypt, an analysis of culture, nutrition, and health. On to the next slide. Just a quick geography lesson here for any folks that may not know where Egypt is. It is in northern Africa, and the capital of Egypt is Cairo. The country is famous for its pyramids. And if you look here, you can see where it is on the map. Moving on next. So for Egypt, for its eating style and its food culture, recently about 30% of its country isn't in poverty, so it has made an increased reliance on subsidized foods, in which these include bread, sugar, white rice, pasta, and oil. Some more of the traditional foods would be kofta and kebab. These are meat dishes. Calamari, also known as calamari, which is squid. Balti and bori, fish, and aish, bread. Sorry for butchering a lot of these pronunciations, but trying my best. Next, for the street foods, we have ful, which is beans with spices, ta'amiyah, which is falafel, and shawarma, which is just chicken or lamb. And lastly, they have a sweet tooth. This is mahalabiyeh and rosbi laban, which is just different types of rice pudding. Here is a representation or a picture of the falafel. Ta'amiyah, sorry for the pronunciation once again. Next we have kebab. This is the most familiar that I think we would see here in a lot of Mediterranean kitchens that we may see in America. And this is the rosbi laban, which is a rice pudding. So some of the prevalent health issues in Egypt. Number one, we have ischemic heart disease that makes up 21% of the health issues in Egypt, also known as coronary heart disease. And ischemic heart disease is the condition in which heart problems occur from smaller heart arteries. So pretty much there's a reduction and there's a shrink in these arteries. So it causes like a restriction of blood flow. And this also ties in with hypertension. But in short, it leads to oxygen reduction and can lead to heart attacks. Next, at 14% of health issues, we have stroke. This is the event in which blood vessels to the brain are blocked or ruptured. In parentheses here, we have interruption of blood supply to the brain. At number 3, we have cancer at 9%. Number 4, we have cirrhosis. We have this is liver disease, degeneration and inflammation of cells. And number 5, we have lower respiratory infections. This includes bronchitis and edema. Symptoms include shortness of breath, weakness, fatigue, and coughing. And for the prevalent health issues, it's really important to include that a lot of these come from tobacco and alcohol consumption. And for example, the lower respiratory infections, they come from high particulate matter from transportation, open air waste industries, and of course more. Next, for the connection between health and nutrition, here we have obesity and malnutrition. The Ministry of Health in Egypt in 2017 stated that 90% of Egyptians do not eat healthy food and consume less than 5 meals per day. And next, for ischemic heart disease, obviously there is a high rate of ischemic heart disease due to the increased consumption of meat and diet. Among other factors, obviously we know that this is a pattern across the world, that increased tobacco consumption also is related to ischemic heart disease. And next we have stroke. As Dr. Michael Greger would say, this is from an absence of fiber. As we see, a lot of Egypt's street foods are solely meat, and a lot of the subsidized foods that they are getting from the government have a lack of fiber. And also we know that they have a absence of produce, aka another source of fiber. And for the liver cirrhosis, as we said, it goes hand in hand with the ischemic heart disease, the consumption of alcohol, and also ergot fungus, which is something we'll talk about in just a second. Here for globalization effects, I wanted to incorporate this image that I got from a book called Lisa, and actually a UCI professor in the Department of Anthropology, Shireen Hamdi. She wrote this book called Lisa off of this field work in Egypt when a lot of these protests were happening. And so yeah, just go ahead and going into that. So one thing from globalization is wheat. So it says here these super political arrangements made between Israel, Egypt, and America. Egypt is the number one importer of wheat in the world, and There's a lot of factors that go into it, weapon trading and such, but in short, Egypt received tons of wheat from from the Midwest. We had a surplus of it here in America, and we gave it to them. But since it was stored in these hot and humid areas, it developed a fungus, and this was distributed to a lot of Egypt's impoverished communities through the subsidized foods that the government provides. And this ergot fungus is toxic to the kidney and has led to a lot of cancers and diseases in the area. And also, since there has been a greater reliance on imported foods, this deters the traditional Mediterranean diet, which includes fruits, nuts, grains, vegetables, and healthy oils. The main river, which would be the Nile River, has been taken up and in favor of some big corporations, so it has made it difficult to harvest in that area. So just some suggestions. Obviously, the ultimate suggestion is to have a proper economic reform. As of right now, there is economic turmoil in the country of Egypt, and if they're able to do that, if they're able to get people unemployment, if people are able to have a living wage, it'll ultimately lead to the increase of health benefits. Hopefully, they'll be able to return to their traditional diets. They won't be able to live off the subsidized foods that the government um, gives away, and as well as reduce food consumption. Next, we have the reduction and or elimination of smoking and alcohol. So for this, yeah, there's just high rates of that. Next, increase exercise. The Ministry of Health in 2017 reported that 80% of the population does not exercise and 35% suffer from obesity. And another suggestion to combat some of these health problems would be reduction in animal proteins. A lot of these problems could be solved with the elimination of excess cholesterol and saturated animal fats in this. Another suggestion would be to increase the plant-based diet. As we know from Dr. Michael Greger, this may reverse heart disease. And that is it for me today. Thank you folks so much.